Spring Sheep Milk Co. is a marketing company focused on producing and selling high-value milk products. It owns a large sheep milking operation at Reparoa, near Lake Taupo. State-owned enterprise Landcorp and a group of New Zealand investors, SLC Ventures, each own 50%. The operation is involved in a primary growth partnership project called Sheep Horizon 3, aimed at creating a sustainable sheep dairying industry in this country.
Sheep milking as a farming concept is very new to New Zealand. It's very large globally. Throughout the European region, there's some very large flocks. Spain has a few million dairy sheep, France has a few million dairy sheep. So when you talk to these groups, they're sort of amazed that New Zealand hasn't already got a sheep milking industry, considering how good we are at both dairy processing and animal husbandry around sheep. We're now looking at what would be a farming system that would be adoptable by New Zealanders. So we're now looking at doing two different pilot farms. One of them being what we call a hybrid, so we've got an indoor aspect to it, but typically try and keep the animals in pasture as much as possible. The other one is what we're calling a conversion model, which is actually to be a very low capital entry model where farmers can come in, convert an existing cow dairy farm that's no longer being used to sheep milking, have a lower environmental impact and have an economically viable model for their farm. The reason Spring Sheep is undertaking this, it's actually in partnership with MPI through a PGP program called Sheep Horizon 3. What that program is seeking to do is to support and develop a sheep milking industry in New Zealand. Quite a lot of European genetics have come into New Zealand over the last year, and we're now looking to milk those. All of our milk to date is going to spray drying in Food Waikato at their spray drying facility there. That's what's called a sort of pilot scale spray drying facility. It takes quite a lot of milk to switch on a very large spray dryer, so this has been a really critical stepping stone for the industry. The PGP runs until 2022, so it's a 6-year program. By the end of that program, we'd really like to look back at it and say, well, we've really proven a sheep milking farming system in a New Zealand context. We have the genetics to make this work, and we can actually show farmers a really clear pathway in terms of coming to sheep milking. On the market side, we'd want to show a diversified series of markets with high-value New Zealand sheep milk going into them.
The farm revolves around 4 mobs of 500 ewes, sorted based on their production group primarily and their day and milk number for how long they've been lambed. So the farm team milk them mob by mob, starting about 5 in the morning, and we milk the 2,000 sheep twice a day. At the moment, the farm system is seasonal, so with 1 lambing a year. From there, the ewes are assorted based on their milk production into different farm systems. For our high producers, they remain on a full total mixed ration diet in the barn. That reduces their walking distance and maximises their nutrition. The other mobs that are the lower producing or the medium producing mobs tend to stick on a hybrid based model where they get access to the indoor system, the shade and the nutrition during the day, yet they stay outdoors in the evenings, and that lowers the total cost of the diet, reflective of their milk yield. Here in New Zealand, we're quite conscious that agriculture has been built off a seasonal calving system in the bovine world, and for us we'd like to replicate that. We're big believers in extending days in milk through genetics rather than complicating the farm system with 12-month-a-year lambing or twice-a-year lambing for that matter. All the sheep here obviously are still strong wool producers. As we move towards more dairy-based genetics, that will decrease, but still shearing is a part of our farm system twice a year, once in June pre-lamb, pre-milking, and once again during sort of the middle of lactation around January. One of the things you might notice with the East Frisian ewes are the fact that the tails are on them. We do that specifically because we have what's called the rat's tail. There's no wool around the tail region. For us, it doesn't present any animal health issues as such, and when we're a consumer fronting business, there's no need to remove that tail, and it's something our consumers find quite appealing. The indoor barn is really important for our farm system, particularly on days like today. It's 30 degrees outside at the moment, yet all of our 2,000 milking ewes are in here, and there's at least a 10-degree temperature difference between the outside temperature and what we're experiencing in here right now. The other reason that we house ewes inside is particularly around lambing time. We've noticed a large difference in lamb survivability when we lamb our ewes indoors. Another reason is particularly around ewe nutrition. So we see the diet that the ewes eat for the first 90 days of their lactation is critical to achieving a peak of lactation and to extending the lactation out to viable milk yields. The diet that we feed in the barn is predominantly based around lucerne. Our farm grows 65% of its area as lucerne. We bring in through the gate things like maize grain and barley, and a wee bit of protein such as canola to add to the mix. A really important factor of investing in the indoor facility was the environmental impact it would have on our farm system. We know sheep dairy is better for the environment than cow dairy, just through the sheep versus the cow. The next part of the puzzle for us was looking at the duration controlled grazing, so saying if we could bring the ewe off the pasture, bring her indoors for a period of time or for full-time housing, we'd be doing wonders for the environment. We've started to prove that with a nitrogen leaching trial. We've installed 300 nitrogen sensors underneath some of our paddocks, and we're starting to measure the difference between what would happen if we grazed ewes outdoors 100% or if we had them indoors or a range in the hybrid system. Some of the provisional results coming out of that trial are suggesting that both the hybrid system and the duration controlled grazing around 24/7 housing of ewes are having a significant reduction on our nitrogen leaching and the nitrates falling through that first layer of soil. So we're really encouraged by those initial results, and we're looking to extend that trial over the next 3 years to develop that further. The ewes, while they're indoors, are on a range of wood chip or miscanthus bedding. We believe that does wonders for their animal health while they're in here. We've actually seen a reduction in mastitis and lameness from the ewes while they're housed. We're very open and transparent with all the work that we're doing here on farm, and a lot of that will come out through the course of the Sheep Horizon 3 Primary Growth Partnership Program and sort of technical manuals and open days for New Zealand farmers to get into.
So as we look to sort of grow a New Zealand sheep milking industry, one of the key things is being connected to our consumer. What we've identified as a really key opportunity for New Zealand is in this high-end premium nutrition space. The first product we began with was quite a simple whole milk powder. We then extended that powder range. This is a probiotic sheep milk powder. This is a really successful product for us. It actually won the New Zealand Food Awards as a Supreme Award and for the Export Innovation in 2017, which we're very proud of as a company. What we've also looked to do is expand into the calcium tablet range for children who often aren't getting enough calcium in their diets. We do sell our products within New Zealand. What we're finding is that there's a really big pull from Asia in terms of growing the export side of it. And so as we look to grow an industry, we see a huge opportunity for New Zealanders at that really high-end, premium, high value-added export range of products. We'll still see a lot of New Zealand sheep milk being sold in New Zealand, but the real prize is actually expanding into large, high-premium export markets.
This program was made with funding from New Zealand On Air.